Yes, Ollie, I will name drop this to start off with, but I am going to give him a shout out. Ross Williams wrote one of my favorite autobiographies, which is Bob Holly's book, The Hardcore Truth. And it's not just because my friend wrote it, it's also a really, really good autobiography. So I'm going to name drop that one right out the gate. But Adam, what are some of your favorites wrestling autobiographies?
Well, I was told, right, when I signed up to record this segment, that it was going to be wrestling books. I was told that. I was told wrestling, and so I'm here like a chump, ready to talk about the death of WCPW, which I've been
WCPW.
Oh no! Oh no! Exclusive. I've gone rogue, and I'm telling all the stories. No, the death of WCW by Ryan J. Reynolds and Brian Alvarez, which is great. But no, apparently, and then suddenly I'm being blindsided by Pat McAfee over here, levels of journalism, punting me with a disgraceful swerve that is apparently about autobiographies. And I've not read many. I've read Mick Foley's. That's really good.
Do you know what? I say what it doesn't have to just be autobiographies. Like we could talk about Death of WCW because what a book it is. Both editions of it. Like the first edition was a great read. When he did that 10th anniversary edition, Alvarez and Reynolds redid it, and they added more stuff in that the publishers originally made them took out because they were like, well, no one's going to buy this book, and then everyone bought the book.
And like the little gimmick of lessons not learned.
Oh, it's so good.
Be like 10 years on, WWE are still doing this. They're still wasting money on this. Like just it's a little bit of kind of numbers porn, but just watching them spend all this money, watching it just evaporate, and watching a company go white hot to kind of ice cold over the course of like a few hundred pages. It's absolutely compelling car crash reading.
I'll tell you why I love it as well, is because, you know, a lot of people will point fingers as to why WCPW or WCW died. And people will always say, like, oh, it was the bad creative, it was Eric Bischoff, it was Vince Russo, it was Hulk Hogan, it was this, that, and the other. It's like, no, it was this money spending. Look how much money they spent. And so, like, when AOL Time Warner had their merger, they looked at these numbers and were like, why are we spending all of this money for something that's not making us any money?
Yeah, we're spending it at the whims of a really petty billionaire who just doesn't want to lose to Vince McMahon. And now that Ted's out, they got really reliant on having no kind of like consequences to reckless spending. Like billionaire Ted, spend whatever you want, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then as soon as Ted handed off the controls to someone else, they were like, no, this money matters.
No, absolutely, money actually does matter to some people.
Stop spending money on Kiss concerts, Eric.
Like National Hall calling Eric Bischoff ATM Eric. Just like that, they didn't see him as a person. Like they literally saw him as something. You put your card in, you put your little pin in, and you're like, money, please. And he was like, okay, here's some money. Do you want a Kiss concert? I've got 5 of them lined up.
Well, that's the thing. And like, I know it was a slip of the tongue, but WCPW had its day of spending money like, you know, like tomorrow will never come. You know, it's like, we got Kurt Angle. Oh, it's fine. We're doing our first pay-per-view. Let's get JR and Jim Cornette to do commentary. Why not? Fly him over first class, put him up in a Hilton. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Tomorrow will never come. Live like you're dying.
And we're gonna live forever.
Just in the office. One of those little money guns that they have in strip clubs.
Adam's never leaving us. We've got money forever.
Oh dear. What fun.
Any other books? The other thing I wanted to say about the 10-year anniversary edition of Death of WCW is I love the TNA edition that they had, which is like, because everyone's been asking Alvarez, when's he going to write the Death of TNA book? But granted, that company's never dying. And and Alvarez was just like, I mean, I've basically written it. Like, here is all of the dumb things that TNA did. And it's just like page after page after page. And they're just like one sentence things. But man, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's so compulsive, which is why I'm kind of sad that we'll never, unless something terrible happens, I don't think we're ever going to get that deep dive, like that week by week ratings and money behind the scenes look at WWE. Like, you know, the wrestling autobiography I want to read is Vince McMahon's. I don't read a lot of wrestling autobiographies generally because I feel like they're so contradictory, and so many of them are people settling scores and righting wrongs, and it is a kind of very cherry, rose colored view of history. But God, if Vince put out an autobiography, I don't care if it would be the biggest propaganda piece like us, I really want to read that.
Yeah. And a few others actually that I really enjoyed wrestling autobiography wise. Daniel Bryan's, yes, his improbable journey to the WrestleMania main event is a fascinating read, and it's very good for the audiobook version as well, because Daniel Bryan's lovely voice reads it to you. And it's just got some really nice stuff in there about Brie and going vegan and things like that, and being plant-based. And you see Daniel Bryan on TV, you're like, oh, you're the world's loveliest man. And then you read the book and you're like, oh yeah, you are the world's loveliest man. And this is just pure, like him talking about wrestling in the UK was his favorite time, because he was basically doing the Butlins loops. And it was just like, I was just going out there and just having fun. Like I didn't have to be serious. I was just doing the same show over and over again. And it was the most fun I've ever had in a wrestling ring. He's just a wonderful, wonderful human being, is Daniel Bryan.
I do also like the one I have read as Bret Hart's. He said he's a grumpy old man, and I do like that. I do like this. I'm not wrestling anymore. I've got no ties.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's who was on drugs while I was wrestling.
I was gonna say, yeah, that story he tells about how like Ric Flair and Roddy Piper invited everyone up to their hotel suite in wherever it was when they were all in WCW, just flipped off the mattress and just put cocaine everywhere and was just shoving people's faces into it. Bret Hart wrote that in a book. It was like, I don't care who I'm annoying, to be honest, because this is what happened. This is what wrestling is like.